The new parts have arrived from the factory without issue. They'll be fitted to the car in time for the next session.
Hey, what's going on, guys? aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2018 career mode. Episode number 20 today for the Brazilian Grand Prix, the second last race of this season, and technically actually a title-deciding race, because I believe mathematically Lewis Hamilton can win the championship at this race if he outscores Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen accordingly, or more Kimi Raikkonen really, as Kimi is second in the championship, Vettel third at the moment here in this first season of career mode. But for ourselves, looking forward to this one, should be a bit of a difficult one, I'm told, because Brazil apparently in this game is a lot trickier than it might have been last year. But anyway, last year I found it difficult, so I am not expecting maybe as good of a result as we had at the Mexican Grand Prix, but nonetheless we'll go on, because I thought Mexico might have been a difficult one, and we came out pretty okay. But you can see on the chart there, we've upgraded our car a little bit. We've got a small little upgrade with a drag reduction update, but McLaren, they've been really improving since the USA Grand Prix, that same upward trajectory to here in Sao Paulo, and so they're really close to us once again. They're closest as they've been since probably the Russian Grand Prix, so expect them to be good. And you can see Mercedes have got back into second place on paper ahead of Red Bull Racing. But you can see the top three are uber close, and you can't really see the Red Bull line there, but we're not too far off, so it's getting closer and closer. Maybe by the next race, McLaren might even make it a five-way little scrap there right at the top of the performance chart. But let's get into practice then and see how we do around Sao Paulo.
Welcome to Sao Paulo, Brazil. This weekend we're at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. It's the Brazilian Grand Prix. Turns 1, 2 and 3 that form the Senna S are a series of tight left, right, left turns that really are an extremely difficult sequence of corners to master. The first turn runs downhill left-handed and provides massive understeer. It's then followed by a fast right-left combination through the Curva do Sol and onto the Reta Aposta straight.
Added in 1990, when F1 racing returned to Interlagos, it is fitting that one of the best corners on the F1 calendar takes its name from one of the sport's greatest drivers, Ayrton Senna. Get this section wrong, and you'll leave yourself open for the overtake on the approach to turn 4.
So as has been the case in quite a few different rounds in the last couple of episodes, the hardest tyre available to us this weekend did not feel great on the very first lap, but eventually we get kind of the groove of Sao Paulo and try and just do the practice programs, really get those final few points, of course, as we try and save up a little bit before we spend everything at Abu Dhabi going into Season 2. But I forgot to mention also, you might have seen on the opening screens there is maybe some rain forecast for the end of qualifying. So that's going to be something to look into in terms of, everyone might be able to start on whatever tyre they want if it's raining in Q2 and Q3. And also performance-wise, I don't know how that'll affect us, but let's go into qualifying and find out.
Welcome to qualifying here in Interlagos as the cars are readying up for what's likely to be a very important session. And as we wait, poised for the start of what will hopefully be a thrilling qualifying, why don't you tell us, Anthony Davidson, about the things you can do to really get the most out of a car in a session like this?
Well, you're largely limited by the Parc Fermé regulations, of course. Back in the old days, pre-2004, you'd work on both a qualifying setup and a race setup over practice, and then swap them over after qualifying. So the race car was quite different at times to the qualifying car. Nowadays, though, you have to find a compromise that works for both. There are a few things that you can still adjust during the session, such as the differential, the brake bias and the front wing angle, but that's about it. So it's more about optimizing what you do have and adapting your own style to suit the track conditions.
Starting off our flying lap then in Q1 on a set of super soft tyres, just trying to get into Q2 as fast as possible here. Not going to kind of play around with the middle compounded tyre, of course. With that rain coming, there's no point trying to try anything clever with this strategy. It's really just trying to go as fast as we can, as soon as we can, basically. And so we're going to move on to the end part of the lap here, and once again, as per usual, the second sector feel really good around Brazil. I still feel like I lose a lot of time through corner 1 and 2 here around Sao Paulo. It's always been the case since the last 3 F1 games, really. I can just never get the trail braking just as correctly as I want it to, and versus the AI, I always lose some time there. But nonetheless, we go across the line. It's going to be good enough to at least get into Q2 in P10 then. You can see Magnussen up in P3 once again, performing quite well in the opening session, but quite a few cars using the soft compounded tyre there to go down the order. But into Q2, you can see very gloomy, and it's a pretty stark contrast to Q1 here. And you can see the rain is probably on its way straight away, because you can see all already a few little droplets of rain, and you can see my car a little bit shaky on the exit of turn 2, and still kind of wobbling about on the exit as we go into the main straight with DRS here, down to the end of Sector 1, and then as we get into the heart and the end of Sector 2, on towards Sector 3, down the hill, very, very damp conditions, and the car just lose all sense of grip there. We spin completely in the right-hander, which is usually flat out almost with low fuel here in qualifying, and it's definitely time for an intermediate. So I didn't even get a chance to set a super soft time. I think maybe 5 of the cars out there in this session were able to set a dry time that was semi-decent, and then the rest of us had to go on to intermediate, so missed the trick there. Even though literally the Q2 started and I pressed the button to go out straight away, I didn't even faff around with the setup, I just went straight out. Didn't even look at the timing screen, and yet I was still a bit too late to set a lap time on dry tyres. That's unfortunate. So we set 1 flyer on intermediates, and at the moment that was a horrendous lap, only P15, and it's only getting wetter and wetter in this Q2 session, and it will get wetter even for Q3. And so you can see there I go a little bit green in turns 1 and then lose it all in turns 2 and onto the straight, and so we're down on our time at the moment, this second flying lap, and by the time we get into the last part of the circuit here, you can see we gain a little bit of time here and there, maybe in the brake zone and the exit, but then eventually it's all going to add up to being negative. And so I think we're going to just have to accept the defeat here of coming down in P15 here behind the likes of Pierre Gasly, the 2 Force Indias, our teammate as well. And so disappointing here, but I just got caught out in the rain, and obviously, as I said, it just got wetter and wetter through this Q2, so I was never going to really improve, and at the same time as well, I just didn't do a good enough job on the intermediates here around Brazil. It was very tricky, and yeah, I mean, just have to accept the fact that I just couldn't get the time out of the car today, and Magnussen did there on intermediates in P3, and you can see there Bottas managed to get up into Q3, as well as Stoffel Van Dorn with the super soft tyres, so fair play to them. But yeah, so we'll start from minimum P15, might be more higher up due to some grid penalties, but minimum P15 for the race. I can't do much, just put my hands up and say, yeah, that's the job we did, so we have to make up for it in the race. These things happen, and let's try and fight back and make it a better Sunday.
As surely as the sun rises in the morning, the Brazilian Grand Prix packs out the grandstands and creates incredible drama. Title deciders, heartbreak, triumph and home glory. All these and more can be found in abundance here at the Autodromo José Carlos Pache. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. 2 very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the 2 DRS zones will be the key to any overtaking prospects today. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's talk about Mercedes. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo, a strong showing from the Australian. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Hülkenberg, Fernando Alonso and Bottas. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Van Dorn, Ocon, Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. Raikkonen, Perez, Kevin Magnussen, the engineer, Leclerc, Sirotkin, Brendan Hartley and Pierre Gasly. Stroll and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So we're starting P14 then, so 1 place up from 15. It's not majorly improved, but alongside us is our teammate now, Kevin Magnussen. So despite him getting into Q3, he now is just alongside us. So not all's bad in terms of me versus my teammate. Both of us are in the same boat of having to recover. But what getting knocked out of Q2 does mean is does open up the strategy. Although, to be fair, everyone will have this because it was raining in Q2 and Q3. I'm assuming everyone can choose whatever tyre they want to start off because it's dry here. So it looks like the default's a 1-stop. I expect a lot of people to try the 1-stop, apart from maybe the top 3 teams might try the 2-stop because they have enough pace, but we're going to go from soft to medium. Pretty simple strategy, so let's get straight into this. It's all about how we actually can eke out those tyres and if we have the pace to do that at the same time. So here we go then to 5 red lights. So the Brazilian Grand Prix, the second last race of the season is underway. 36 laps ahead of us, around Sao Paulo. It's a pretty piss poor start there for us compared to Charles Leclerc in the Sauber there. We go down the order now, trying to get back at him into turns 1 and then 2 on the outside there. Magnussen attacking Sergio Perez around the outside. He's had a much better getaway there. For some reason, I just bogged down quite a bit. I got an initial good getaway, and then in second and third gear, just the wheels started spinning up so much there. But it doesn't really matter too much, as Magnussen gets held up quite a fair bit, and it's actually Perez attacking then Carlos Sainz instead up ahead. So me and Magnussen, a bit of a blockade here in front of us here. It's just, you can see all the cars as they climb up the hill. A lot of traffic to contend with, and I'm trying to see when I can go down the inside. We'll try here. Magnussen gives us a bit of room, but not anymore. And Magnussen squeezed us almost completely off circuit on the grass there. He invited me in with some space there initially, and then just completely squeezed me out. Kind of a lot like what happened in the Italian Grand Prix. This time around, there was no sausage curb to kind of spit me off into the runoff area. So that was a little bit close there. Going to have to be a bit patient, perhaps, it looks like, around Sector 2, especially here around Brazil. Obviously, the track's notorious in real life for being known for a lot of dirty air issues, so we're going to have to take it nice and easy and just kind of wait for the opportunities to come. We can't really force it too much, I feel, and that's exactly what we're doing, because we're all the way on lap 4 now, so 4 laps later, and we're still in the same position, P14, looking at the back of my teammate's car. But now I'm feeling the groove a little bit, and with some also some good racing lines here, maybe I can find some kind of way to get past Magnus. I'm going to go for the dive down the inside, catch him napping a little bit, and he's gone very slow into the right-hander, maybe not deploying much ERS there. I'm not either, but we've also just got good momentum, and so we're up into P13, so a very nice easy pass actually on Magnussen. So we had to wait 4 laps to do it though, so not ideal actually, because we've wasted 4 laps essentially being behind him. And if you look at the mini-map, we've lost a lot of time to that red car of Kimi Raikkonen, who's up in the top 6 or top 5 there. Now we go around the outside of Carlos Sainz, though, the Spaniard in the Renault, the long way around as we enter Sector 2, downhill slightly before we start the ascend up the hill for Sector 2, using a little bit of ERS, but not too much on medium there, because Sector 2 is where you can save all the battery, and Van Dorn's gone round ahead of us there. He's been punted off by Sergio Perez. I was about to say Sector 2 is where you save the battery and you deploy all in Sectors 1 and 3, basically. But a very odd punt off by Perez and Van Dorn there. So it started off by Van Dorn sending one down the inside, it looks like, or maybe defending from Sergio Perez. Those two still neck and neck as they go up the hill. Perez on the inside, Van Dorn on the outside. Now, is it just going to be a case of, oh yeah, very awkward touch there, and then Van Dorn just can't control the car quite correctly, and he slams into the wall, loses a fair chunk of his front wing there on board. Let's see how this works out. I think a little bit of contact on the front left there by Perez. Very odd, actually. That was a very, very odd crash for Van Dorn, but nonetheless, it gives us a free position, and we're up into now what would be P11, and it might be P10 now with Nico Hulkenberg going a little bit slow. We've got DRS, Rich Mix going, ERS also deploying on overtake mode down the inside of the German now on lap number 8, and it will be up into the points paying positions for the first time in this Grand Prix. And yeah, so that's definitely taking me a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I guess that's just how the race is going to pan out. It's going to be a little bit harder than it was at Mexico, maybe, to overtake cars here. So just going to have to be patient about it, like I said, and just take what we can get, really. I can't be too impatient with, not making moves, because, sometimes it's just the hand we're dealt here, really. And like I spoke about at Mexico, in real life, the Haas has been very flip-floppy, up and down in terms of its performance. And I guess, like kind of Mexico in qualifying, it's just maybe one of those races where we have to, take the back foot a little bit. Some other cars are just better. They've got better aero than us, because that's a department we still haven't developed too much in. Also, the engine power we haven't done a huge amount in. But saying that, though, look at this. A great little run on the Force India round the outside of Perez on this flat-out left-hander. It's going to be a lovely move. We can pull this off here on Perez there. Got the traction on the exit, and we're still neck and neck, though. But that was a really nice sequence of corners here. Going to have to tuck in back behind for some more slipstream as the Mercedes power helps Perez out there. But here we go. DRS now. Rich Mix down the pit straight onto lap 9, and we'll get that to the inside of turn 1. Cut across a little bit. Perez still there. Going to have to try and just scrub off the speed and go a little bit wide on purpose into turns 2, and we do so, and we're up into P9 now. But a really nice sequence of corners to overtake Sergio Perez. Will he come back at us, though? We'll look at the mirrors on the right-hand side. Here, proximity arrow goes red. He's going to try it. No, he won't. We'll defend to the inside. And meanwhile, there's a big old scrap going ahead between Max Verstappen, Raikkonen, and then who is the other car? Esteban Ocon, the other Force India. So big old scrap, and Verstappen, compared to his teammate, really not performing too well the Brazilian Grand Prix. I believe Ricciardo's all the way up in the top 4, whereas Verstappen's now lowly sitting here in P8, still stuck behind a Force India car here, which is very surprising. And actually, this may be why, as we go around the outside, maybe he's got issues on his tyres, as we go flat out around the outside of Verstappen on that right-hander. What a move that was on the Dutchman there. And maybe he's got issues because clearly, I don't know why he was going so slowly there with dirty air maybe behind the Force India. But we were able to get him very nicely. And now we could get on the back of MONACO on here. We're absolutely flying now in this race. DRS open, ERS deploying, Rich Mix going. And here we go to the move to the inside of the Frenchman there. And it will be a bit of an easier pass maybe than with his teammate. Leaving a bit of room on turns 2. And there we go. Finally get it. And we're up into P6 now. So we went from being frustrated at no progress to some rapid progress in 1 or 2 laps there. And as we move on now, a couple of laps later onto lap 11, we're going to see a few people making pit stops. So we'll climb up the order a little bit along with Raikkonen. So it's going to be the Mercedes over Hamilton's in. And we're up into P4 now. Raikkonen P3. And so we're doing a good job at the moment. And whilst that's our situation, I just want to show off another midfield runner's situation here. Fernando Alonso has been running so well. He was at the Mexican Grand Prix, and yet again, he's back at it again, ahead of Raikkonen, just behind Dan Ricciardo, running in the top 4. Absolutely insane drive for Fernando Alonso. He's had such a, he was already strong at the beginning part of the season. We saw a few bonkers kind of positions and moves that Alonso was making. But in the last 3 episodes, or 4 episodes, I want to say, particularly, him and McLaren have been making a real step up there. I need to kind of check the performance of McLaren's kind of different departments after the race to check out how they're doing, because Fernando just keeps on dragging that car up to ridiculous heights now. I know, obviously, we showed the graph. They are improving race after race and, even at a better rate than us at the moment here at Sao Paulo, but still a pretty crazy thing. But anyway, we move on late into the Grand Prix. It's time for our first pit stop and only pit stop of the Grand Prix. Same for Verstappen and also Raikkonen. It looks like all of us on a set of medium tyres, so all of us trying the one-stop strategy, soft to the medium compound tyres. So we still remain ahead of Verstappen there, Raikkonen ahead of us, and we'll try and see if we can chase after him. But I don't have high hopes, to be honest, on these medium tyres. They're pretty horrendous tyres, in my opinion. And instead, I think the more likely prospects can be looking behind us at that man, Max Verstappen, in the Red Bull racing cars. We move on now, 8 laps later, from lap 17 to lap 25, up the hill then, and Kimi's waltzed away from us and is actually at the moment ahead of Bottas, with Bottas doing a 2-stop. But here comes Verstappen now on the right-hand side. I've gone down to a bit of lower ERS because he's got DRS, so that pass was always inevitable from Verstappen there. There was no defending that, even with some rich mix and ERS. He was flying there, and he's deployed all his extra energy. And now we just have to conserve ourselves, get the battery back there. You can see on the bottom right, I don't actually have a lot of ERS left over to even try and come back at him. We just have to stick with him with the DRS, and we have to wait patiently until lap 27. So 2 laps later, we're stuck with Verstappen. We've got the same gap that we ended that sector 1 with on lap 26 with. And so now up the hill, now you can see on the bottom right, I've saved a lot of ERS here, and now it's our turn. We can deploy that, go into rich mix. We'll have DRS now, and so it's now our turn to re-overtake Verstappen there to get back up into what will be P6 in this Grand Prix. Here we go, flying on the right-hand side, just like identical move to the one Verstappen made on us. We fly past him. He's got nothing to defend with, and so we're back up into that position. And up ahead on the top left, you can see Raikkonen has been re-overtaken by Valtteri Bottas. I believe the 2 Mercedes cars, also Daniel Ricciardo's Red Bull, and maybe even Vettel's Ferrari. I think they're all doing a 2-stop, whereas the rest of us out of position a little bit further back down the order. We're trying to jump ahead with a 1-stop, and of course also Fernando Alonso trying a 1-stop here. So that's why Bottas was initially in P5 ahead of us. He's now up into P4, I'm assuming, after overtaking Raikkonen. And so now we just concentrate on trying to do our job, and I think, to be honest, it's our job of just trying to stay in P6. Meanwhile, though, we're going to look now at a fight between Hamilton and Vettel. This was actually, I think, before Hamilton made his second pit stop. So Vettel's on medium, so I was wrong about that. Vettel's doing a 1-stop as well, and so it looks like only the 2 Mercedes cars and the Red Bull of Ricciardo are doing a 2-stop, which is surprising, to be honest. And you can see that, oh my god, wow, Jesus, Vettel nearly had the same crash as Van Dorn there on Hamilton, but Hamilton gets past Vettel for the race lead. But it doesn't matter, because eventually Hamilton will pit like Bottas did, and so Vettel will regain the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix. But like I mentioned, it's a title-deciding race pretty much, and really it's between Hamilton and Raikkonen. Vettel might be winning this one, it looks like, but Vettel was in 3rd place in the championship, quite some way even further back from Raikkonen. So at the moment, where Raikkonen is only down in max P5, it looks like, Hamilton, I think, will get this championship wrapped up here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Not sure about the constructors, but I think Hamilton may take this very first season of our vanilla F1 2018 career mode. Meanwhile, Alonso up into P2, Raikkonen P3 there, Hamilton in P4, P4, Bottas P5. So this was a replay whilst we were fighting Verstappen, obviously. And so we're looking at this replay. Alonso in P2, trying to do his best, but eventually that Mercedes power will come through, and Hamilton shoots past there up into P2. But Alonso's still in P3 here. Let's see if we can keep that from Valtteri Bottas, who I'm only assuming by now is past Raikkonen in these replay shots here you're seeing of this race as we wind down to the end of the Grand Prix. So we're going to move on later, and then I think this is going to be Valtteri Bottas trying to chase after Alonso here. So, you know, Alonso, kudos for trying so hard on the one stop there, but eventually, you know, the raw pace is going to come out there, and Bottas is past there. So Alonso down to P4, but to be fair, still, that's still a great position for Fernando Alonso. And I'm not going to lie, the way McLaren, and especially Alonso's been, you know, going in the last couple of races, I can't lie, you know, we might be in a really good position with Haas here. McLaren not looking too bad, you know. We'll see how it goes at the end of the season. We'll see. I never say never. McLaren are looking pretty damn tasty as a team to, you know, maybe go to in season 2. We'll have to see. I'll just tease you guys about that till the end of the season at Abu Dhabi. But we're going to move back to our POV then on lap 35. This will be on towards the last lap of the Grand Prix, and it's not Verstappen actually attacking us. It's Daniel Ricciardo, the other Red Bull, who's made a 2-stop, and he's flying now in this Grand Prix. He's overtaking his teammate, and now here he comes there in the same fashion as Verstappen, overtakes me on the right-hand side, but this time, crucially, he's got a fresher, faster tyre of soft tyres. I go to none ERS, trying to save the battery for one last hit on this last lap of the Grand Prix, but to be honest, I think I've miscalculated it, and I just think Ricciardo has way too much pace there. I probably should have done way more to kind of maybe squeeze him out into turn 1, because even with the battery power now, I can run in high maybe for the entire rest of the lap there, and with a bit of rich mix. I don't have too much fuel to burn though. Ricciardo has too much pace on the soft tyres maybe. Into sector 2 though, there is one car up ahead of, I think that's a Toro Rosso maybe, so maybe the Toro Rosso can hold up Ricciardo slightly. I don't know how much leniency there's going to be with the sister Red Bull team, obviously, but there goes Sebastian Vettel winning the Grand Prix, but I'm pretty sure with these finishing positions, Raikkonen will not have enough to take this fight to Abu Dhabi, so I do think Lewis Hamilton will take the Drivers' World Championship for the very first season on our F1 2018 career mode here in Season 1, so kudos to Hamilton. He's been very, very consistent, if anything, really, in this first career mode season, and yet Ricciardo waltzes away from us, so it's going to have to be P7 for us here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. A tough old Grand Prix, but nonetheless happy with our fight back here from P14.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a good finish. Well done.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
Oh, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
So there we have it here, the first time we saw the championship cutscene. Lewis Hamilton has won the Drivers' Championship here in our very first season of F1 2018 career mode. We come home in P7, like I said, hard fought one from P14 to be fair, and Magnussen gets there in P11, so I'm happy that, you know, we're able to overtake him because he started one position ahead of us on the grid, so happy in that respect. I think we should be winning the teammate battle with him officially now after this race, but in the Drivers' Championship then for us, as we go into the last round of the season, I don't think we can overtake Ricciardo. It'll be an absolute miracle we can do so. I think we're going to have to settle for P6 here in the championship, but as always in Abu Dhabi, we'll try and do the best job we can to end off the season, get a last bit of resource points there, but you can see the major gap from Hamilton to Raikkonen. Yeah, Ferrari just shot themselves in the foot this season. They had quite a bit of bad luck, to be fair, with so many different kind of incidents with Vettel and Raikkonen in the last, especially in the last couple of 6 episodes, but yeah, fair play to Hamilton, but the constructors not wrapped up there, I don't think, mathematically, so I think Ferrari can can maybe still, I think Ferrari can still pull the wool over Mercedes' eyes if they do a good enough job, and Mercedes have a calamity in Abu Dhabi, but it's going to be a tough order. And then for us, also maybe very difficult to get P3. I'll never say never. You never know if the two Red Bulls have incidents like has been the case sometimes in the past in this season, then we might be able to do it, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. It's going to be tough, but let's end off then with the interview questions and go to the end of the race.
Great work out there today. How do you think it went? Do you think that your close rivalry has helped you out this season?
So I think we have beaten Magnussen in this third rivalry, but it's been a really good one, I feel. So I'm going to go with the bottom on to be a bit sportsmanship with him.
You really cut your way through the field today. What was your strategy?
I'm going to compliment the chassis side of things. Obviously, we've got a really, really good chassis, the strongest on the grid, so car really nimble, allowed me to get through the field like that with those overtakes. I think mid-apex definitely helped.
It was more like Dodgems than Formula 1 today, wasn't it?
With this one, I'm just going to go with no comment, I think. There's no kind of good or bad answer really here for me with those three options. So just going to go with the no comment there in terms of the Dodgem cars and the kind of contact there out there, the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And so we go on and we officially are going to beat Magnussen then in this third and final teammate rivalry there. So it's 2-1 to me. Although, to be fair, I'm still, not satisfied, to be honest, because Magnussen still has that one race win at the MONACO Grand Prix compared to me. So although, yes, I've maybe got more podiums than him over the season, I've ended up getting the better haul of points. He's got very unlucky in the last 3 episodes. I think you guys will agree. And yeah, I mean, I know in myself that I'm still not satisfied that he's got a win and I haven't. So that's still going to play on my mind here as we get to the end of the season, to be honest. But we're going to look through then the last bit of the R&D tree. And I'm just here assessing what we can maybe purchase at Abu Dhabi. I'm thinking we go quite a bit on the aerodynamics there, do the drag reduction, maybe that front downforce, that major upgrade, and then also look into the engine upgrades, maybe the ERS, because we've had a few issues with having too little ERS battery sometimes when I want to fight back against AI, so might look into that. But you can see McLaren are actually second best for engine this season. They've done an absolute number on the engine upgrade, so no surprise then why Fernando Alonso seems to be able to do really well. Although they may be below us in the overall standings in the team tree, McLaren has the second best engine on the grid now. I don't think you'd be saying that, after the last couple of years. So bonkers upgrades there for the McLaren team. They're obviously still better than us on the aerodynamics. The only department we beat them on is chassis. But going into Abu Dhabi then, you can see here, looking through the reliability, I may need to take one small penalty on the MGUK because that might really hinder our final race, and I want to go out with a bang and do well at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and that wear is looking a little bit too high for my liking. So we'll see how it goes in practice in quali in Abu Dhabi, but I might honestly take one little engine penalty for the MGUK there and try and do really well in the last race, because I want to go, like I said, I want to go out with a really good result there for Haas and see what we can do in the last race there of the season. But guys, if you did enjoy this one, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you know how to do, subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been Alfa. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.